So now let's talk about this another topic, that is verb, which is another part of speech basically. Right? It is also one of the parts of speech. Like we did nouns earlier, nouns are naming words, then pronouns which are used in place of nouns, then adjectives which are describing words. So here we have verbs which are actually action words, which show some action, that is some doing words. They are also known as doing words. So please understand that we can categorize them as two. One is the auxiliary or helping verbs, and one is the main verb, or which shows some action. Like auxiliary or helping verbs are like do, does, is, are, am, did, was, were, has, have, you know. And main verbs which show the action, like I'm teaching, so teach is verb. You are studying, so study is verb. Write, sit, look, work, stand. You know, there are so many verbs which represent any action, that is called main verb. Now, the topic that I'm going to talk about today is transitive, intransitive, and linking verbs. Right? So, please understand that a sentence in English is always formed like this: SVO, subject, then verb, and then object. So, this subject can be any noun or pronoun, and the subject most of the time is the doer who is doing something, and what the subject is doing is known as verb because it shows the action, right? And then object is also there which supports the verb, right? Object supports the verb. So now please understand, a verb without an object is called an intransitive verb. Without an object means which doesn't need an object to complete its sense. Okay. For example, if we say Radha dances, Radha dance karti hai, or Radha is dancing. So here we do not need anything else. We do not need an object. Radha is the subject, dances is the verb. So the sentence is giving complete meaning with this. That is why dances is an intransitive verb. Why is it intransitive? Because it doesn't need an object to complete its sense. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, please understand that some verbs act on an object, which can be a noun, pronoun, or phrase. Acting on an object, what does it mean? It means that these verbs need an object to give the complete sense, to give the complete meaning of the sentence. A verb which has an object is called a transitive verb. That is called a transitive verb. Like, for example, she is doing her work. So we can't make it like she is doing, because here this doing is not giving us the complete meaning. Doing what? So some object is required to give the complete meaning. That is why her work is the object basically. She is the subject, doing is the verb, and her work is an object which is required to complete the meaning, to support the verb. That is why it is a transitive verb. So what you can say? Well, you can say that the verbs that need an object, okay, that need an object to support it, is called transitive verb, right? Now, when we are learning about the objects, please understand there can be two kinds of objects. One can be direct object and another can be indirect object, right? Now, how to understand which is a direct and which is an indirect object? Let me give you an example. For example, if we say the principal gave the children a lecture. The principal gave the children a lecture. Now, here the principal is the subject, gave is the verb, right? And for object, we have two things: one is the children, and another is a lecture. But we need to see the verb. What is the verb here? Gave. So the principal gave what? Children or a lecture? The principal gave a lecture. So here, direct object is a lecture, right? And indirect object is the children. Okay, so he gave a lecture to the children basically. So the children are indirect object and a lecture is direct object. I hope you have understood this. Now let me give you another example. For example, Mr. Raj will teach you some magic tricks. All right, now tell me what is the subject here? What is the subject? Come on, Laisha.
Mr. Raj,
Correct. Mr. Raj is the subject. What is the verb?
teach
Will teach. Yeah, teach is verb. And what is the direct object and what is the indirect object?
magic tricks,
Yes. Some magic tricks is what? Direct or indirect?
direct,
Direct object. Some magic tricks is direct object. And what is the indirect object?
indirect is
You. You is the indirect
you.
object. Right? You is the indirect object. So sometimes there can be more than one object in a sentence, but we must understand which is the direct object and which is the indirect object. Okay, and that we can always know by looking at the main verb. So main verb teach. What will he teach? Will he teach you? No. What will he teach? He will teach some magic tricks, right? So that is direct object. You is going to be the indirect object. I hope you get it now. I hope you get it now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Now, please understand some verbs like arrange, hold, bring are always transitive. Are always transitive. Always transitive means we cannot use them without an object. We cannot use them without an object. Okay. Then there is another thing that other verbs, like other than these, other verbs can be used either with or without an object. Can be used either with or without an object. All right. So in this way, they can be transitive or intransitive, right? Like, let me give you some example. For example, if you say Jaya paints, okay, so here it is fine, she paints. If we say Jaya paints a picture, this is also fine. So the verb paints, here it is transitive and here it is intransitive because here it is without an object. It is used with without an object and here it is used with an object. Okay. I hope it is clear. Like for example, the children are eating. The children are
Yes,
eating
ma'am.
mangoes. So the children are eating. It is intransitive because we are not adding any object to it. But if we say the children are eating mangoes, so mangoes is the object, so it will become transitive. Okay? I hope you have understood this.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, uh,
Ma'am, what about the linking verbs?
I'm coming to that only. Don't worry. There are certain verbs, that do not make sense because they cannot be used on their own. Okay. There are certain verbs, like certain verbs do not make sense because they cannot be used on their own. Right. Now, which are these verbs? Like was, if we say, or seems. For example, if we say Arjun seems, is it making any sense? Arjun seems what? Arjun seems nervous, sad, whatever. Okay. So you will need, so here we have added an adjective to complete the sense. So this verb seems, it can't be used alone on its own. Okay, it is not going to give us any meaning. Like for example, if we say Ruhi was what? Ruhi was what? Ruhi was at home. Okay, so now we have added a preposition and a noun with it to give the complete sense. So these are linking verbs. Why are they called linking? Because you see, that way they are also called verbs of incomplete predication. But incomplete predication means the predicate cannot be completed with these verbs only. You need something else also, like the way we have added an adjective here, the way we have added a preposition and noun here, right? So these are called linking verbs. I hope you understand. Okay, and these words that we add like adjective or this,
Yes,
these are
ma'am.
called complements. These are called complements. So actually we need to add some complements to give the complete sense to these verbs. That is why they are known as linking verbs. We need to link them with some complement. Okay, we need to link them with some complement. Only then they give complete sense.